Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
I
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Today is Friday, July 19th, 2024. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. The end of the Republican National Convention last night in Milwaukee was an absolute crap show. Donald Trump spoke for more than 90 minutes and lied throughout. He also had a wife beater and two racists introduce him as well. We're going to break all of that down. Democrats continue not to focus on Trump. They keep focusing on trying to get Biden out of the race. We'll talk about that. Vice President Kamala Harris, she had a phone call with 100 donors today. We'll tell you what happened on that call. Also, on today's show, where is Barack Obama? Why is he not supporting Biden and or Kamala Harris? We're going to unpack all of that. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
All right, folks, the Congressional Black Caucus has been standing strong in the corner of President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris. They have been very consistent in their support of that particular ticket, even though major donors continue to press the Democrats to drop them. Today, the first Congressional Black Caucus member went public asking Biden to drop out. Go to my iPad, Stephen. There were 4 members of Congress who came out with a statement today saying Biden should drop out. One of them is Mark Veazey of Texas. And so you see, they say here, Mr. President, with great admiration for you personally, sincere respect for your decades of public service and patriotic leadership, deep appreciation for everything we've accomplished together during your presidency. It is now time for you to pass the torch to a new generation of Democratic leaders. We must defeat Donald Trump and save our democracy, protect our alliances and the rules-based international order, and continue building on the strong foundation you've established over the past 4 years. Now, they say all of that, and you notice they say, pass the torch to a new generation of Democratic leaders. They don't specify who. This is the consistent thing that you keep seeing from these House Democrats and Senate Democrats who want Biden to step aside. They're not specifying who. Now, why is that a problem? Because in order for you to run, you need money. You need a national campaign. The reality is, if you do not select Vice President Kamala Harris as a leader of the ticket, you then lose that money, goes back to the donors. You also don't get the 1,000 campaign workers, the 100 field offices. You don't get the TV buys that were locked in January and February. You now have to pay more expensive for those spots because you're buying them later. So there's so many factors in play that people don't actually want to understand. Kevin Madden is a Republican strategist, and I used to, of course, we were colleagues at CNN, and Kevin actually was tweeting about this a little bit earlier. Give me a second, I'm gonna pull it up. We were talking about that, and he talked about, you know, this reality that these donors are not accepting. You know, they're sitting here, making assumptions about how this thing can go without really understanding that it takes time to literally build an infrastructure. Now, a little bit earlier today, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, of course, who, if you look at the reports, they say Hakeem Jeffries, he met with President Biden and told him that he should be pulling out of the race. Yet here is Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader, speaking today.
President Biden as I've said repeatedly, is our nominee. He has a tremendous track record of success. He's one of the most accomplished American presidents in our history. And he has the vision, I believe, the ability, the capacity, and the track record to make a case to the American people that will result in us being successful in November.
That's Leader Jeffries saying that. But the reality is you've got other Democrats who are pressing him to step out. Biden released a statement making it clear that he was moving forward, that he was going to be back on the campaign trail next week. And so he is not backing down. All those reports you heard about President Joe Biden leaving the campaign this weekend, those things are not happening. Also, though, this afternoon, Vice President Kamala Harris was on a phone call with Democratic donors telling them the focus needs to stop being on the campaign. The focus needs to actually be on attacking Donald Trump and focus on winning. Now, why is that all important? Well, last night you had the Republican National Convention. What did you see last night? Okay, you had 3 people last night who they had on their major night endorsing and touting Donald Trump. One of them is Dana White. Dana White, of course, is with the UFC. Dana White, a big-time supporter of Donald Trump. Come on, y'all, roll a video. This is Dana White. Well, here's the deal, though. This is the same Dana White. I want everybody watching. And listen, this is the same Dana White who slapped around his wife. See that video here? Run it back again. That's Dana White right there punching and slapping his wife. So the Republican National Committee had no problem with a wife beater on stage last night touting Donald Trump. Who also was on stage? Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan goes on stage and he's sitting here tearing his shirt. President Trump and J.D. Vance, those are my heroes. Yet this is an audio call from 8, do y'all have that? From 8 years ago where Hulk Hogan admitting to being a racist. Play it.
She jumps sides on me because I shell out $2-3 million for her music, and I've been trying to tell her I've done everything fucking with him day and night on the radio like a jackass, and he's working with me to make it work. He goes out and you really shouldn't call her every day and do the shit I do. The Southeast record, this black billionaire guy, he's basically did more for her a year than anybody's done. Okay, he had one song after 10 months, this shit went back up and back and back still. And momentum, but I try to be the realist, and this is your option. You got another option. Said you can get signed with fucking. He's gonna put $500 million behind you. But right now there's nothing else. We're doing the best we can. So it gets to the point where I really broke was fucking the black and his son, where they've been hanging out. I helped them hold hands together on the tour. They were getting close to the time before I'm giving a fuck.
Freeze it. I want y'all to see right there on the screen. No, go back. It says, I'm not a double standard type of guy. I'm a racist to a point. You know, fucking niggers. That's a quote from Hulk Hogan. Now, he came out and asked for forgiveness from his fans, but we didn't forget, Kid Rock. He performed last night. The same Kid Rock who drapes himself in the Confederate flag, the same Kid Rock who uses the N-word. These are the people the Republican Party had on display last night at the Republican National Convention touting Trump. Now, they had DEI night on Monday with all these black folks standing up there. So you mean to tell me and all these national media people who are shameful and pathetic, who are praising this convention and the tone of unity and all of these things, these same people had a wife beater and 2 racists on stage last night talking about Donald Trump. You had Eric Trump, when he gave his speech, complaining about Congress stripping the names of those Confederate generals, those domestic terrorists, those traitors from army bases. Donald Trump has complained about that. So these are people who are defending having the names of domestic terrorists and traitors as the name of army bases and military bases in this country. And they actually think we want those type of people back in the White House? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So just understand what's going on here. So the day after, that's what Dems should be talking about. The day after that mess, Dems should be condemning that. The day after, Dems should be talking about the lies and the craziness and the nonsense emanating from Donald Trump's mouth last night. But no, these idiot Dems are still talking about Joe Biden. They're still talking about a 90-minute debate 22 days ago. Yet, they're not saying jack about a 92-minute speech that took place not even 24 hours ago. It's insane what we're seeing. Now, we look at polling data. Oh my goodness, Biden's down in 7 battleground states. And what's going on? He's gonna lose the race. Y'all, this ain't rocket science. If you dogged a candidate for 22 days and you highlighted his greatest weakness, his age, what the hell do you think is gonna happen? Remember, a week after the debate, polls were virtually tied. But you've had pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding. You had Democratic analysts, podcasters, pollsters on CNN, MSNBC, Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS, social media, all these outlets spending all their time talking about Biden and not Trump, not MAGA, not Project 2025. So of course, the polls are going to shift. I don't know what these people are doing. I don't know what they think they're doing. And these donors, I'm gonna deal with them in a second. Do we have Congressman Danny Davis? All right, so let me know we have Congressman Danny Davis. It's just nuts when you look at what's going on. And it's crazy that Biden and Harris, they're not down further because of the constant pounding from Democrats. I'll bring my panel in right now. Michael Imhotep, host African History Network show out of Detroit. Caleb Bethea, communications strategist out of DC. Matt Manning, civil rights attorney out of Corpus Christi. So glad to have all three. Let me start with you, Kelly. I mean, this is dumb to me. Kelly, I've never seen a party self-immolate. I mean, it's like the Republicans are sitting here going, we ain't got to say nothing. Y'all doing all our work. Thank you very much. Please continue.
It is incredibly frustrating to be a Democrat right now. I'm sorry, I'm hearing things. Am I good to go? I'll just continue and hopefully you guys can hear me. This is a really difficult time to be a Democrat right now. It is really difficult to be any type of progressive right now because your options are so just frayed, right? I do not understand for the life of me why we're not talking about Trump, why we're not talking about Hogan, why we're not talking about Kid Rock. And we are instead fully deep diving into ageism in that, oh, Biden's too old, he's this, he's that. It is angering to me, as if we can afford to be this politically correct about chaos, about completely politically incorrect tenets of politics. there's no rhyme or rationale for this. It feels as though we are intentionally self-sabotaging ourselves to lose this election, because otherwise it is beyond cognitive dissonance. It really is, like you said, it is dumb.
Michael, last night, we heard, first of all, I couldn't even stomach watching that crap. We heard literally one of the weirdest, strangest speeches you've ever heard. All these Republicans, Donald Trump is going to be focusing on unity, and he comes out and he's describing the assassination attempt, and he hugs and I think kisses the coat of the firefighter who was killed as a result. And then all of a sudden, then he just goes crazy. Then he just starts talking about all kind of crazy stuff. He basically starts giving his stump speech. I mean, he's sitting here talking about Hannibal Lecter. He's saying all kind of stuff, and you literally are sitting there going, really? You had folk falling asleep in the arena. Mm-hmm. He just started just going like all over with this speech. And if you're watching that, they should be saying the same. Republicans should be saying the same thing today that Dems said about Biden. But guess what, Michael? This is the Republicans. What you talking about? Oh, no, that was great. You don't hear any Republicans saying how that was batshit crazy. You don't hear any Republicans saying that he sounded nuts, that he needed a cognitive test. You don't have any of that. They circle the wagons.
Oh, absolutely. There's an old saying in politics: Democrats fall in love, Republicans fall in line. This is exactly what's been happening. This is what I said last week on the show. You have Republicans circling the wagon. They will protect Donald Trump. There's 100% unity, basically, in the Republican Party behind Donald Trump. And then you look at what happened last night. Very few people, even though you have people on MSNBC who had big problems with what Donald Trump said, they're not calling for Donald Trump, generally speaking, to take a cognitive test like they were calling for President Biden to take a cognitive test after the June 27th debate. And as I talked about last Friday on this show, when you look at the fact checking from CNN.com, the fact checking, the article says Trump made more than 30 false claims during CNN's presidential debate, far more than Biden. In that debate, Donald Trump made over 30 false claims. Biden made at least 9 false claims. Donald Trump made more than 3 times as many false claims than Biden, but the corporate control media acts like Biden was on the stage by himself. Biden actually won that debate when you actually read the fact checking, even though he did stumble, but the majority of his answers were pretty factual. And with Donald Trump, the majority of his answers were false. Just like last night, he made over 20 false claims last night when you look at the fact checking.
In fact, this was the fact that was put together. Watch this.
The world was at peace. Our opponents inherited a world at peace and turned it into a planet of war. We're in a planet of war. The whole world was at peace, and now the world is blowing up around us.
This is false. Trump did not achieve world peace when he was president, certainly wasn't at peace when he left office. There were active wars or armed conflicts in dozens of nations in 2020, a 51 by one research institution's count, and then 51 again in 2021. Trump handed President Biden ongoing civil wars in Yemen and Syria, of course, an unresolved Israeli-Palestinian conflict, Israeli-Iranian conflict, a war in Ethiopia. I could go on for a while, but I don't have time because there were so many other false claims. So let's address some of those, not even all of them. He repeated his usual lie about Democrats having cheated in the 2020 election. It's nonsense. He said crime is going up. The opposite is true. It's gone sharply down in 2023 and early 2024, is now lower than it was under Trump in 2020. He said we have the worst inflation we've ever had. Again, not even close. It is 3% right now. The U.S. record is 23.7%. He said there was no inflation under him. It was low, of course, but not non-existent. It was 8% total for his presidency, 1.4% year over per year in the month he left office. He said the price of groceries is up 57%. Under Biden, it's actually 21%. He said Democrats are proposing to quadruple people's taxes. That is imaginary. He said his tax cut was the largest in American history, not even close again. He said the Biden administration does nothing to stop migrants. Well, the administration tried to get Congress to pass a bill to tighten the border, and after Trump himself helped to kill that bill, Biden took executive action to tighten the border. Trump said he stopped human trafficking. Again, not true. He said China stopped buying oil from Iran under him. Also did not happen. He said foreign governments are deliberately sending criminals and mental health patients to the U.S. as migrants. His own campaign has been unable to provide proof for that. I certainly haven't found any myself. He said we defeated ISIS, 100% of ISIS, in a couple of months. In fact, the ISIS caliphate was declared fully liberated more than 2 years into his presidency. And there were other exaggerations about trade with China, about North Korean missile launches, about gas prices, about IRS agents. So it just went on and on and on in terms of falsehood, just like the speech went on and on and on itself. Jake?
Now, again, Michael.
Yes.
You don't hear Democrats today talking about that. I just saw a post on Twitter, Senator Sherrod Brown, Ohio, saying Biden should step aside. They're not spending any time focusing on the opponent. They're focusing on their candidate.
Yeah, let me say this very quickly, Roland. Now, you hit on something a couple of days ago when you talked about how they're fearing Vice President Kamala Harris, okay? Now, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez just did an Instagram Live.
Actually, I'm going to get to that a little bit later. I'm going to play some of that.
Over that.
Yeah, I'm going to play some of that later.
Okay, let's jump on.
Real quick,
Senator John Tester.
Real quick, because I'm going to go to Congressman Danny Davis. Go.
Okay, let's jump on Senator John Tester from Montana, who came out yesterday and called for Biden to step aside. They are ignoring 14 million voters who voted in the primaries. When people say things like, hey, it's time to pass the torch to the next generation, why didn't the next generation run in the primaries? That's what the primaries are for. You're trying to invalidate the votes of voters just like Donald Trump did, except you're trying to have a silent coup when he had a violent coup, attempted violent coup.
I'm going to go right down to Illinois Congressman Danny Davis. Congressman Davis, glad to have you on the show. Look, y'all are under lots of pressure. You've got folks who want the CBC to crack, to stop their support of President Joe Biden. Here's what's crazy. They keep saying Biden has to make a decision. He's announced multiple times that he's running. He's literally said it 4 or 5 times. So my whole deal is stop saying that, okay, you need to make a decision. When he's made the decision, either fall in line or, you know what, go to the convention and don't vote for him.
Well, I think it's a difficult situation, but I agree that President Biden has said that he is running. And of course, the real challenge is to be unified enough to defeat Donald Trump. I don't know what else it is that we need to know. President Biden has said his health is sufficient to do this. He believes that he's able to do it. His physicians have said he can do it. There's no reason that he can't. Yes, it's a challenge, but I think if he is ready, and he keeps saying that he is ready, I am ready to be with him as long as he feels, knows, and articulates and demonstrates that he's ready to defeat Donald Trump. I'm there.
So, like here's a perfect example. I'm looking at this tweet right now, and Yashar Ali, he goes, President Biden, through no fault of his own, is not capable of vigorously campaigning for the presidency. The president cannot handle day after day of a schedule that includes but isn't limited to 4 rallies a day in multiple cities and a clutch at each rally, multiple TV and print interviews in the same day the rallies above are happening, a fundraiser or 2 are mixed in. First of all, the reality is, I've covered a lot of campaigns. I don't know that many candidates that actually do 4 rallies in a day. I ain't never seen Donald Trump do 4 rallies in a day. What the hell is he talking about?
Well, I don't know, but all of that is very concrete. It demonstrates that there is a path. And again, President Biden has not walked away from any challenges. I think that he can do it. Of course, Democrats don't have a great deal of time, but we do have a process. And part of that process is that everybody gets a say, gets a chance to say what they believe. Now all we have to do is agree, unlike the Republicans who are dictated to and told what they do, and they fall in line. We come to an agreement because that's a process that is used, and I think it's ready for us to go ahead and decide that, yes, if we're riding with Joe Biden, let's do it and get on with the business of defeating Donald Trump.
Now, I've discussed this multiple times, and I've said this, and I've confirmed it for a number of different people, that what you're really seeing here, this is an effort not to just take out President Biden, but also to take out Vice President Kamala Harris. Are you getting that same sense? You're in a lot of these meetings. What are you hearing? Do you believe that a lot of these donors and some other Democratic Party operatives, they not only want to get rid of Biden, but they also do not want to see Vice President Kamala Harris at the top of this ticket?
Well, a number of my constituents are expressing the same view that you have expressed. And I guess the realities are that no matter what the motivation, we have to come together as a unified body. And yeah, the tent is a big tent. And yes, I'm a big fan of Vice President Kamala Harris. I support a process. And of course, we have a process that basically says number one, and then if something happens to number one that number one can't perform or can't do, then we go to number two. That's the American way of processing things. And if that was the case, then we would expect that that process be followed.
All right, Congressman Danny Davis, glad to have you on the show, sir. We'll see what happens next.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Appreciate it. Matt, I want to go to you. I go back to the most basic point. When you're in a campaign, when you're in tight races, you direct all of your fire on your opponent. June 27th, the debate took place. That was 22 days ago. That's all Democrats have literally done is attack Biden. And I just think that as long as that's the case, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You can't keep saying we need to beat Trump when you're not even using your time to go after Trump.
I think you're right. And, you know, last week when I was on the show, I talked about how I think it's a fair conversation for people to have, or I thought it was a fair conversation for people to have. And I don't think I said it quite artfully, but I think that's a little bit of what we're seeing with the schism now. However, I realize now that I was wrong insofar as time is really running out. So the problem here is even if people philosophically think there may be somebody better as a candidate, the more time the Democrats spend looking like they don't have any idea what's going on, the more time you lose ground in the race against Mr. Trump. Now, I'll tell you, I was listening to The Atlantic this morning, and they said something I hadn't considered. And just from a strategic standpoint, they said that, you know, the Trump campaign has been gearing up to run against Joe Biden. And that if Joe Biden didn't run, it would be a fire drill, is what the reporter said, because the Trump campaign has not prepared to campaign against anyone else. So, you know, in a vacuum, philosophically, I think, you know, there may be an argument strategically that there might be somebody else. However, to your point earlier, the Democrats have not said who the heir apparent is, and we know who the heir apparent should be. For some reason, they don't want her to be the heir apparent. And that is one question as to why the Democrats are trying to push him out, but are not immediately saying she needs to be the replacement, number one. And I think they're leaning on polling data or what they believe to be polling data, but I think that belies a greater mistrust than they might want to be honest about. And I think that's a separate thing to have. But beyond that, we don't have any time. Time has run out. And if the Democrats were going to put somebody else up besides Joe Biden, that should have been decided a long time ago. Now, at this 11th hour, they cannot credibly put somebody up that will, one, have the name recognition beyond Vice President Harris. And two, I think the problem with that strategically is that makes it look like they didn't have a front choice, and they're now cutting and running with the person who was their front choice. So I see it as a little bit of a catch-22, but I think the better of the two strategies is to continue running with Mr. Biden, especially if his physicians have said he's good, if they've released results that he is cognitively there. That's enough for me. That should be enough for anybody who supports him, and they should go on and really focus on beating Mr. Trump. But the longer that they spend time spinning the wheels, the more it looks like they have no idea what's going on, and the less they engender support in those who might literally be on the fence in battleground states. I'm going to come back up with another theory when we come back from this break. We're going to stay on this topic. We're going to play some of what Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said in her 50-minute Instagram Live last night, which was quite fascinating. So we'll talk all about that. That's next. Roland Martin Unfiltered, right here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Good job, good pay, good life. Would you be willing to walk away from it to achieve real wealth? Well, that's exactly what this woman did. And boy, did it pay off.
Once you make the decision that this is the direction that you're going to go in, I do believe that there's power in having a decided heart.
Hear her story on The Next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, on Black Star Network.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Devon Frank.
I'm Dr. Robin B., pharmacist and fitness coach, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks. So for our panel, I have a theory that love to get your perspective. So When you look at the polls, they're asking the question, and it's 57% AP poll. 57% of the people say Donald Trump should drop out. 65% say Joe Biden should drop out. But someone saying a person should drop out does not equate to I won't vote for them. And so this is where I believe, Matt, where people are not, I think they're missing something that's critically important. Folk didn't want to vote for Joe Biden in the 2020 primary. You had like 15 other people, ended up being him. They didn't want to vote for him, thought he was too old even in the fall. He ended up winning. I believe, and again, people may say I'm crazy. I believe that if Democrats lock and load, you focus on Trump, you elevate Project 2025, all of a sudden, when voters have to make a decision, voters then are like, I'm gonna pick Biden, I'm gonna pick Trump, or I'm gonna not vote. Couch is real. That's a different decision than somebody saying, you know what, I think he should drop out. The fact that you have 57% of the folks saying Trump should drop out, to me, it's not that big of a difference between Biden, and you don't see any Republicans saying, yeah, you know what, Trump should go. Your thoughts, Matt?
You know, you hit the nail on the head and said something just brilliant, because I thought about that before we got on the air today. I don't know much about polling, and I'll readily concede that. But one thing I don't think is ever really connected is how often the polls are exactly right and how often they truly foreshadow the outcome. And to your point, basically, it's a binary choice. So if you're going into the ballot box, right, the question about who should drop out or whether they should drop out, or the percentages relative to that perspective, don't have, to me, really any prescient bearing on what you actually do when you go into the ballot box. So when you walk in there, you got to pull the lever, so to speak, for one of two people, right? And how many people are going to not choose pull the lever for Biden because they have questions about his age? I don't think that is necessarily represented in the polling. I will say I understand strategically concerns about if there really is consistent polling in the battleground states, showing that Mr. Biden is going to lose. I could see how, just looking at it on paper, you'd be concerned. But outside of that, I don't know how that really drives voters' actual behavior in the ballot box. And that's something that's a blind spot for me. I don't know enough about polling and historical polling to know how that really correlates. But it seems to me like there is fear related to the polling. And I don't know that that necessarily correlates to what will actually happen in the ballot box, number one. And number two, you know, what I could use your insight on is generally when they poll people, you're polling people who are inclined to participate in the poll, right? But more people go vote than ever participate in polls. So I don't know how you really correlate what polls show you to what actual voter behavior is. And I'm wondering how much that is factoring into the Democrats cutting and running. But that might also be evidence that there's some other conspiracy, some other thing going on behind closed doors that we don't know about. And it's purely being propped up on the idea of age or capability, when in fact there's a different groundswell movement that, you know, we're unaware of. But that's my opinion on it. I don't know how much those polls truly correlate to what will be ultimate voter behavior.
See, the thing here, Michael, I was on a call today, and this person was talking about the polling data, and there's no path for Biden. And I'm listening, and I'm going, it's July 19th. It's not August 19th.
Right.
It's not September 19th. It's not October 19th. So if I'm looking at polling, and again, if I look at the polling from 2 weeks ago, it was like 2 points. It was in Wisconsin, 47-45. In Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, in Michigan. Well, now, after all media, print, digital, broadcast, radio, constant, then folks like, oh my God, there's no way. I mean, he's opened a 5-point lead. You contributed to that.
Right.
So if you all of a sudden focus on Trump, if you then say, yo, I'm looking this way, and you begin to highlight how dangerous J.D. Vance is, you begin to highlight the realities of Project 2025, conversation totally changes. I don't get people saying, it's July 19th, it's over, we're just gonna go home.
Well, most people are not even engaged in the campaign at this point in July. People on vacation, things like this. People, the majority of people really don't start tuning in to presidential campaigns until after Labor Day. Okay, so that's early September. What Democrats need to do is stop tackling their own quarterback and stop blocking their own field goals and go after Donald Trump, especially after the 93-minute diatribe he went on last night and sounding totally crazy, deranged, and unhinged. You need to hit them with that. And then if this is a binary choice, every question that people ask about Joe Biden, you need to ask about Donald Trump. So, and I would argue the people are asking the wrong question when they ask, can Joe Biden serve another 4 years? They should ask the question, who's best qualified, who's best equipped to serve the next term? Because they don't ask, can Donald Trump do 4 years? Is Donald Trump physically fit to serve 4 years? Is Donald Trump mentally fit to serve 4 years? The other thing is continue to hammer on the accomplishment that the Biden-Harris administration have put in place. And then Joe Biden last Thursday or Friday, in his campaign speech, he laid out his first 100-day agenda, what he wants to get done in the first 100 days. Keep doing that, because that brings about the energy, causes people to get engaged, and keep hitting on Project 2025. And one of the most important things for people to understand about Project 2025, not only were at least 140 people who worked for an administration involved in writing Project 2025, but that is a 180-day plan from the Heritage Foundation. What the hell do they have planned the other 3.5 years of a second Trump administration? That's what they want to get put in place the first 180 days. Right. And this is, I would say, part 2 of what the Heritage Foundation did in 1980 with Mandate for Leadership, which was the book that contained 2,000 policies they wanted the Reagan administration to adopt. And the Reagan administration adopted 64% of the policies in the first term of the Reagan administration. This is part 2.
So I'm going to also throw this one out to you, Kelly, before I go to my next guest. And that is, I think people are also overlooking something important. Joe Biden has a white coalition. Joe Biden leads among white seniors. He leads among white college graduates. He leads among white suburban voters. He leads among white independents. If you kick Biden off the ballot, you may cause that shift. Now remember, when you look at numbers, Hillary Clinton got, I think, 38% of the white vote. Biden got 41 to 42%. Biden got a higher percentage of the white vote than Obama did. White voters make up 70% of the electorate. So folks need to understand they can't afford any level of erosion. I just think that what you're seeing now, because now all of a sudden it's, Biden's dragging down state people. He's dragging down House candidates. He's dragging down Senate. I go back to this thing again, Kelly. If all you've done is if your own party has attacked the guy for 3 weeks, you sowed seeds of discontent, you got folks like, man, I don't know. I don't understand why this is not common sense.
Here's what I think. I think the Democratic Party gets off on having moral high ground.
Boom.
I think that the Democratic Party feels that they can only win elections when they have the moral high ground.
Boom.
So follow me here. When I said I think they're self-sabotaging, I mean that 100%, because what you're talking about is, it's not like it's not being conversed within the ranks. It's not like there's not someone in there saying, here's what we need to do. We need to down, we need to do boom, boom, boom. Stop talking about this, start talking about that, etc. There are somebodies in the camp saying that right now. And the powers that be, who have a little bit of a higher pay grade than the person who's actually making the common sense, is saying, nope, we don't want to do that. Why? Because right now we don't have any moral high ground, and we don't have a plan, right? As a party, we don't have a plan. We don't have a Project 2025. We don't have a Project 2020. You know what I'm saying? We get off on coming in and swooping and saving the day. And that's how we get votes. Because people think that because we're a big tent, we have to include as much people as we can. And the only way we can do that is if we portray ourselves to be the hero, and the hero has to save everybody. Everybody's talking about this big tent. My opinion is that the tent needs to be closed. And we need to hunker down and have a plan. We need to have a Project 2030. We need to have a Heritage Foundation for Democrats whose think tank is solely dedicated
I agree.
to policy.
I agree, but here's the whole deal, though. The reality is people vote based upon fear. There's a reason Donald Trump came out and said, "Oh no, I don't know Project 2025. I don't know them. I've never heard of them." But what happened last night? He said in his speech, "I'm hiring Tom Homan." Who is Tom Homan? The author of Project 2025.
2025.
So the Trump people, they know how potent it is. And check this out, Kelly. Before the assassination attempt, Project 2025 was building on Instagram, TikTok, on Twitter. It was building. Democrats, guess what? Since Republicans turned the page and they all walking around with bandages, well, you know what? You turn the page and say, we're going back to 2025. I don't understand, again, why they're not doing that. It's just the stupidest thing. It's just stupid. Hey, this just in.
Because they need the moral high ground.
Right.
I think they're self-sabotaging.
Democrats want to be perfect. They want to be, oh no, we got, and again, I love this. We need these young, energetic, vibrant voices. What are you talking about? And you never can name them. This just in, and I love this here.
Because they're not cultivating them.
Well, they're there, but guess what? You didn't run. This just
but
in.
Not only that,
hold on.
They weren't encouraged to run.
Hold on one second.
They didn't have any political backing to run.
Hold on one second.
You put all your eggs in Biden's basket.
I got you.
And you discourage the younger generation from running.
But here's the deal, though. When you're the incumbent, that's always what happens. This just in, David Letterman has announced he's going to be hosting a fundraiser for Biden at the home of the Hawaii governor on July 29th. So David Letterman's like, I'm with him. So we'll see what happens next. Hey, I talked about the Republican National Convention. It was the land of crazy. It was the absolutely land of crazy, especially when it came to foreign policy. Trump picks J.D. Vance, Ohio senator. He is anti-Ukraine. These people were kissing the butt of Putin the entire time. I don't know what the hell these people think is going to happen if these folks get into the White House. Joining me now is national security expert, Dr. Nola Haynes. Nola, these folks were passing out deportation signs, all sort of stuff. I didn't watch a second of that Klan rally. I just couldn't stomach it. But for people at home, if you want to understand foreign policy, when this fool stands up, I could make one phone call and end wars. Give me a damn break.
Well, capitulation is very different from having the diplomatic skills to end a war. Capitulating to Russia, capitulating to China over Taiwan, that is not the same thing as having a very strong foreign policy and international security. vastly different. And I actually had to listen to former President Trump's comments from Latin America, Ukraine, and they were all really, the comments really showed that this isn't a person at the steering wheel who really understands how the world works. It's not a good old boys club in a sense that, you can go play around the golf and then you can just solve all the world's problems. That's not how that works. Foreign policy and international security are two different things. So foreign policy is an agreement with another country of how we operate within that country. Say that our foreign policy agreement with Ukraine is NATO will be there for you. NATO will back you up.
Hold on. I want you to freeze there, because I ran into an absolute idiot of this black female flight attendant when I was in Atlanta. I got caught up in the planes being grounded. And this idiot, I'm gonna talk a little bit about it later, but she brings up Ukraine. And I said, are you aware that 80% of the money to Ukraine actually stays in the United States? So this other couple overheard us going back and forth, and this guy asked the question. I said, do y'all understand what the NATO alliance is? Do you understand what the alliance says if a NATO country is attacked? I said, the amount of money that we're spending now pales in comparison to what we would have to spend in terms of soldiers and money if Putin gets Ukraine and attacks other NATO countries. I mean, people don't even understand the reality of what the NATO alliance is.
Right. So I just want to make it very clear. So Ukraine is actually not part of NATO yet. There are certain legal provisions, even before Russia decided to invade Ukraine. Technically, a country cannot have another country occupying its territory. And so, which leads us to another point. Russia has invaded Ukraine since 2014. So what we're seeing is Russia Part 2. So because of that situation, that ongoing situation, is one of the reasons why Ukraine is not in NATO yet.
Right, no.
But they absolutely will be. Biden-Harris administration.
But Nola, when I meant attacking a NATO country, Putin has made it clear.
Yeah.
He wants to reassemble the Soviet Union.
Absolutely.
So if he gets Ukraine, he is then going to eye Poland or some of the other countries. Those are NATO countries. If he then attacks a NATO country, we, the United States, because of the NATO alliance, we are drawn in because the document says it.
Absolutely. It will absolutely be boots on the ground. And I've said that since day one of the Russia-Ukraine war. No American wants to send their child, daughter, cousin, nephew. No one wants to send their child off to war because the United States and the rest of our allies around the country did not come together to stop Russia from doing just that. And I do not think that Donald Trump has a firm grasp of that. Capitulating to Russia means, okay, you know what? There'll be no more war in Ukraine because we're just going to sit back and give you Ukraine. And then what's next? It's Poland. And like you said, Roland, he definitely wants to reassemble the USSR. And which is why historically Finland, Switzerland, joined NATO. That is how serious this is. It's so serious that Germany now has a security structure, something that they swore off since World War II. This is how serious the situation is. And if you think, and if anybody in this country think that Donald Trump could just go ahead and pick up the phone and it'll be over, it'll be done with, it is not that simple. And the way that he speaks to his people as if it is, and I know they soak it up and they believe it, it's dangerous. It's dangerous talking points. It's dangerous rhetoric that I hear repeated over and over and over again.
Nola, he also said that if China attacks Taiwan, I'm not going to defend Taiwan because, they hurt us with their microchips.
Right. So two things on that. So again, like I said at the beginning, being a strong man if you're capitulating and then trying to extort Taiwan for protection as if some sort of thuggish, Italian mafia that lives in his head, that he wants to be this mafia boss. That is not how that works. That is not how security in that region works. If you want to capitulate to China, what else are you willing to capitulate to China for?
Yep.
And what about all those kind of licensing agreements that his daughter's company? What is the real relationship there, right? So all this tough talk, all this so-called strongman talk, it's just that. It's just talk, because the proof is definitely not in the pudding.
Last one for you. I know you had to get a kick out of this fool last night saying, the North Korea leader, he wants me back.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure Putin wants him back. I'm sure all of his so-called strongman buddies want him back, because he will capitulate. He has shown us the 4 years he was in office, he is not strong. He believed Putin over his entire intelligence community. 17 agencies giving you intelligence, and all Putin has to say is like, no, I didn't do that. I didn't interfere with the election. And that was that. That was that. Capitulating. That is not indicative of being a strong man. I'm sorry. It just isn't.
People don't get it. These people running around saying, Trump is going to get us out of these wars and he's going to be saving us money. This man, listen, the CIA still worries about how Trump asked for the list of our sources, and all of a sudden, our intel sources started dying all around the world. They had to start pulling people out of countries because there was a fear that Donald Trump literally gave up our intel sources to Putin. Folks better wake up and realize what's going on. Nola, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Folks, we come back. We're going to continue this conversation. Understand what's going on, y'all. I'm telling you, we could talk about a whole bunch of other stuff. I don't think people really understand what we are facing with this election. When you have Donald Trump and this right-wing Supreme Court that has said, you got immunity? We are used to having presidents with integrity, honor, decency, morals, and values. When you give a thug the free reign to do what they want, trust me, they will do it. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Next on The Black Table with me, Greg Carr, we welcome the Black Star Network's very own Roland Martin, who joins us to talk about his new book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. The book explains so much about what we're going through in this country right now, and how, as white people head toward becoming a racial minority, it's going to get, well, let's just say, even more interesting.
We are going to see more violence. We're going to see more vitriol, because as each day passes, it is a nail in that coffin.
The one and only Roland Martin on the next Black Table, right here on the Black Star Network.
Farquhar, executive producer, Proud Family. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Earlier in the show, I was telling you about this 50-minute Instagram live that Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez did last night. It's got more than 2 million views already just on Instagram. It's been posted on other platforms as well. Here's a snippet of what she said, because what you're about to hear, you've heard on this show for the last 3 weeks.
I'm going to say what a lot of these folks aren't saying. I'm just going to say it. If you think that there is consensus among the people who want Joe Biden to leave, that they will support Vice President Harris, you would be mistaken. And I'm going to say that because if they're going to come out and say all their little things on background off the record, but they're not going to be fully honest, I'm going to be honest for them. I'm in these rooms. I see what they say in conversations. A lot of them are not just interested in removing the president. They are interested in removing the whole ticket.
Joining me right now is Texas State Representative Jarvis Johnson. Jarvis, glad to have you here. We've been saying it on this show, Jarvis, that that's what's at play. Because every time I see one of these folks say, Biden step aside, all of a sudden, you never hear them say, well, who should replace him? I just saw one story, I'm gonna try to find it, where now Nancy Pelosi is saying, oh, there needs to be an open convention so it's fair and transparent. No, Jarvis, they want to get rid of both of them.
Yep, that's exactly what they want to do. And right now, to try to say that we're going to have a new candidate is probably the most absurd thing I've heard. You're talking about somebody being your new presidential candidate that we have not vetted. We don't know the background. We don't know much about these people. And so now you're trying to bring somebody new on just to simply say, oh, because Joe Biden is old. We knew Joe Biden's age when he ran for president the first time. So I don't understand this notion that we need somebody new to step in. The Republicans are going to stay true to their candidate, regardless of what his 34 felony backgrounds convictions say, regardless of the rape cases that he has, regardless of the RICO cases that he has. They're going to stay true. And we as Democrats need to stay true. We're not going to judge Joe Biden on the 90-minute debate that he had. It certainly, he can do better. But at the end of the day, Joe Biden is not Barack Obama, and everybody wants Joe Biden to be Barack Obama. They want him to have the charisma. They want him to be as sharp. They want him to be all of these things. But at the end of the day, our economy is doing better. This country is doing better, regardless of what the certain medias are trying to paint this economy to be. We're all doing better because of it. This country is in a better shape because of it. And to put Trump back in place with the lies that we know he's going to tell, with the things that he's going to say just to simply say it, but at the end of the day, we know the lies are going to will show themselves again, and Donald Trump will be true to who he is. It's the old scorpion and turtle mentality. He's going to say one thing, but at the end of the day, you give him what he wants, he's going to be who he is, and that is a scorpion.
In fact, this was a conversation on MSNBC. And again, now these people are revealing who they really are. Listen to this.
Do you believe the best way forward is what some people have called a mini primary? What happens next, and how quickly could it happen?
Well, I think should he make that decision, there there will have to be quick steps. I don't think we can do a coronation, but obviously the vice president would be the leading candidate. I think kind of a mini primary, maybe a vetting hosted by former presidents, including Obama and Clinton, would be helpful and help focus the attention. And whoever emerges, including Kamala Harris, would be a stronger candidate than if we tried to exclude a transparent public process.
Jarvis, here's why that's stupid. Here's why that's stupid. So it's July 19th. The Democratic Convention starts August 19th.
Right.
It ends August 23rd. So these folks are basically, yeah, let's go there. And so for the next month, what the hell are we gonna do? So we already know the runway is already shorter. So now you wanna blow another whole month waiting to figure out what you're gonna do. So now you left yourself with 10 weeks. And then if you don't pick Kamala Harris, in 10 weeks, you gotta assemble a national campaign, raise money, we gotta know who these people are, and then, come on, bro.
Say, man, this is like the 90-day wedding, the 90-day.
Right.
How do you do that? No, nobody gets to know anybody in 90 days to say, you're going to be with me and make my life better. No, that ain't going to happen. You're not going to get to know anybody in 90 days. You're not going to get to know anybody in 30 days. It is absolutely asinine. It's absolutely absurd. And we need to move forward. We need to stay committed to our candidate and make sure that we can push our agenda forward, make sure that we're pushing the things that are important to us forward. But to show weakness the way we're showing it right now, I think is why so many people want to flee from the Democratic Party, because there's no fight in us. We kind of cower to everything that Fox is saying, and CNN picks it up, and then they start running with it, and that becomes a narrative. Because Trump called him Sleepy Joe, and that became the narrative. I mean, we need to call it the way it is, man. Look, we can win this if we stay true to who we are, if we can stay true to what this country needs. But to play this game right now, man, we look weak by simply cowering to them and saying, we're going to change. We're going to go get somebody from California, somebody from Illinois. Come on, man. You know, the country don't know everybody, so we have to stay focused. Our economy is doing better. We're good under Biden because he flubbed some words. Hell, I can tell you every day, Donald Trump flubs words. He don't even know J.D. Vance, his vice president's name. You know, come on. It's a joke, man. And I fear that if we do this, we're absolutely going to lose the White House. And people need to keep in mind, Project 2025 is real. And if people don't think that Trump is going to push Project 2025, if they don't think that Trump is going to go after his political enemies, if they don't think that Trump is going to try to be a dictator, and if black people don't realize that this is going to be an all-out war against us, because they are going to attack who we are, because they know we control the voting block for the Democrats. So that's why they're attacking us. But at the end of the day, they're going to take our livelihood. They're going to take our way of life away from us. And yet they're going to say, no, he's not. He's going to do better for our economy. No, he's not. Trump is a joke and doesn't even know what he's doing, man. And I got some real choice words, but I'm not going to be cussing on your show.
I'm going to go to Kelly. Kelly, a group of black women, 1,400, signed a letter, go to my iPad, saying they support Biden. They're condemning lack of democratic unity. I got a call 2 days ago. Now a group of black men are working to put their own letter together as well. What you're seeing here are black folks, they see what the okie dokie is. Black folks like, oh, we see what y'all doing. Y'all trying to bypass the sister. We see, and that's really what's at play here, Kelly.
I mean, I have my own personal thoughts on that, but what I will say is that since the beginning of time, as far as modern American history, the canary in the mine has always been black people. And when it comes to politics specifically, when you listen to black people and you actually heed to their recommendations and policy and the like, great things happen for this country. I'm talking Civil Rights Act, Fair Housing Act. Pick a policy that actually benefits all of us. It will likely be traced back to a person of color and at its inception. So I understand the petition. I agree with the petition, but you really do, and not you specifically, but the proverbial you, absolutely need to listen to Black people, Black women.
Michael, you got a question for Jarvis?
Representative Jarvis Davis, thanks for coming on today. Quick question for you. 14 million people voted in the primaries for President Joe Biden, and we knew Vice President Kamala Harris was going to be on the ticket. The Democratic Party says that Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy. They talk about Donald Trump trying to overthrow the will of the people with the January 6, 2021 insurrection. Do some of them realize that they are trying to do something similar? Trying to push Biden out and then try to get somebody else in after 14 million people voted for Biden?
Well, of course, but politics is not what politics used to be. It's not about who's the best candidate. It's not about who's the smartest. It's not about who's going to be the best. It's really about clickbait, man. It's really about who says the things. For me to listen to Democrats and Republicans alike say, Trump speaks like me. He speaks for me. You know what? That's the worst thing I've ever heard. I don't want somebody like speaking the way he speaks for me. It's like saying my pastor is a drunk and my pastor is a fornicator and a pedophile and that's why I want to go to his church. No, I want somebody better than me. But I think, again, media has painted this picture, and more Americans and more voters are going with the sensationalism of what they think is going to be best for them. Trump is going to be strong. Him standing up there with that fake shot and, pumping his fist after allegedly got. That's what they want to see. Well, that's not a president. That's just, that's a character. And I don't want a character in the country.
Okay. Thank you. Reality TV show character.
Yep. Matt.
Yeah, Rep. Davis, thanks for serving the people of Texas, brother. We need you. Here's my question for you. How much of this do you think is coming from down ballot races, people like John Tester and others who are concerned about their own political future and who are jumping on board to try to, oust Biden for their own self-interest, whether that be to supplant him or down ballot races? How much of that do you think is factoring in?
I don't know. It's always been, top down. And yes, there are a lot of people that I think are cowering to this notion of, well, if you support Biden, then we're not going to support you. You ain't going to support me anyway. It's kind of like when we are, as Texas legislators, left the state of Texas to stop the voting, the hateful vote to block voting rights of Black people in the state of Texas. We left, and we were getting calls every single day saying, come do your job. If you don't do your job, we're going to vote you out. And I was always looking at it, you ain't going to vote me out because you're not even in my district. You wouldn't vote for me anyway. So I think it's a lot of short-sightedness. I think it's a mindset that they're afraid because they're not rooted in their own community, and they're listening again to the clickbait. They're listening to the media, and they're being they're cowards when it comes to this. And now they're saying, oh, well, let's go find somebody new. And they're speaking out against him. So yeah, I agree with that to a certain degree. But at the end of the day, I think that's a wrong philosophy that we're taking. That's a selfish one, and it's one that's going to hurt. While you may be able to save your seat, this country is going to be lost, and so you'll be inconsequential by simply saving your seat, but yet losing the country. And we can't afford to do that. But people need to be more focused on their own communities. If you do good work in your own community, you don't have to worry about not being reelected because the Republicans are threatening you. If Republicans are threatening you, then you ain't doing a good job. You're not doing a good job at all.
All right. Hold tight. Wow, Jarvis, I appreciate it, man. Always good to see you. But don't wear that shirt next time.
I already knew you was going to go there, but look, you see what's up there, right? Come on, player. I knew you was going to go. It's your show.
What's up there? It's a little foggy.
It's all right. I still love you, brother.
It's a little blurry.
It's a bit blurry, but you know it's there.
Is that an 8x8 brick up there?
Okay. It's all good. It's D9 love, baby.
Okay. No, it's Alpha Divine 8.
All right, okay.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right.
All right, y'all. We come back. Man, y'all, I got to tell y'all what happened in the airport today. When a Black female MAGA flight attendant rolled her ass up on Uncle Roro. Man, wait till I tell y'all how that went down. Oh my goodness. You watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Y'all support the work that we do. Join the Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars make it possible for us to do the work that we do. Send your check and money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys. This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Sherry Shepard, and you know what you're watching, Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, y'all. So, you know, we had that outage, that computer glitch impacted airlines worldwide. So I was on a 7:05 a.m. flight out of Atlanta on Delta. So then they said we weren't going to leave until 10:05. All right, so I go to Pascal's, get me some breakfast. So I go to my gate. Well, D terminal is small terminal. I mean, people are cloistered. So I walk a little further down. See, there's some open seating, and there was not that many different people. And so I'm down there where Frontier, I think Spirit, some other airlines. So this black flight attendant, older sister, she comes up to me, and she sits down. And so she's asking me about Project 2025. And she's talking about how, you know, we need to really educate young folks and others about the election and why voting is important in Project 2025. And so I tell her, you're right. And so she wanted some information from me on how to do that. And so I then told her, I said, hey, you know what? You can go to Twitter. You can grab some of the memes, some of the graphics that are out there. It's real easy. You can share that information, you know, with people. And so, you know, she pulls up the app and, you know, she's looking at it. And so we're having this conversation. She's really talking about how a lot of these people don't know. And so this is like one of the graphics that I showed her. So I showed her this one, and then, you know, this was another graphic that I showed her about how Project 2025 is going to rig the economy. And then there was another graphic I showed her that's, again, condensed version. So there's a conversation. Okay, so she thanked me. Now, mind y'all, I'm sitting there minding my business. I'm trying to listen to my gospel music. I'm trying just to chill because I got to sit in this airport for 3 damn hours. So she gets up and she goes back to go sit where this group of flight attendants are. So this other sister comes over. So she comes over and she says, Mr. Martin, did my colleague come over here to ask you about Project 2025? And I'm like, so I gotta take my earbuds out, and I say, yeah, she did. And she goes, well, you believe that that's actually Trump's plan? I was like, hell yeah, it is. I said, do you know what the Heritage Foundation is? Are you aware? And I began to go on. And then I said, you didn't hear last night what Trump literally said? He was going to rehire Tom Homan, the author. She goes, well, it's not Tom, it's Jeff. I said, no, it's Tom Homan. His name is Tom Homan. That's when she all of a sudden starts revealing her Trumpian MAGA views. Kelly, Matt, and Michael, so she starts talking about how she goes, you know, would you let Biden walk your dog? And I was like, what? Excuse me? And so then she starts going on, he's horrible, he's this. So let me explain to y'all how this just sometimes goes down. See, remember that scene from The Godfather Part 3 when he said every time?
Who watched that one?
I've seen it before. Other people have seen the movie, Kelly. Anyway, there's a scene where Michael goes, every time I try to get out, they pull me back in. Now, y'all, I don't be trying to do on TV, to do in person what I do to some of these people on TV. But when you push my ass, and I try to be nice, Michael, I try to be cordial, Matt, I try to be respectful, Kelly, but some folk want to show their ass. Now, it's other people sitting around, and I ain't trying to get loud. I'm not trying to get, but her ass kept pushing. And when she kept pushing that bullshit Trump MAGA stuff, that's when the earbuds came out. It was the equivalent of getting some Vaseline. Man, I started wearing her ass. What was the name of that crazy fool who was here? That fool from Vermont.
I wasn't CJ.
I lit his ass up. Yo, that's what it turned into. Y'all, she started moving the goalposts. She started moving. She started talking about she goes, Biden put a bunch of black men in prison. I said, how many? Tons. I said, baby, that's not an answer. And then she kept going. Then she bring up Obama. Then she bring it up, and I don't understand. She was all over. Well, my daddy, you know, my daddy had a great health care plan. He worked for the big three, and I was like, I'm sorry, that's a private. That ain't got nothing to do with the government. I said, oh, matter of fact, can you remind me? I said, was it Trump or Obama or Biden who said, don't bail out the big three? She didn't want to answer that. I said, which one of the two, Biden or Trump, more pro-union? She didn't want to answer that. So she started going on. Then she kept saying, Biden is horrible. Biden is just horrible. I said, name me one policy. Give me one policy you say he's horrible. She couldn't. She would just come. She would just go. Then I said, you ever met Trump? You ever sat down across from him? You ever talked to him? I said, baby, I talked to 5 presidents. Out of the 5, he the worst. So then, see, here's the other deal. See, when folk try to sit here and talk shit to me, see, I'm the last one, because I will break out some CVS long receipts on your ass. So then she want to bring up Chicago. So I brought up Chicago. I said when I met with Trump, I said Trump's plan to deal with the violence in Chicago was called strength. I said, that's not a plan, that's a word. He said, strength. I said, what the hell is that? Strength. Y'all, I'm not lying. And so then she go talk about, well, did it do it? Did it do it? What did Biden do? I said, if you want, we can call the mayor of Chicago right now. Oh no. Then she could try to pull a phone up. She couldn't even Google shit right. So I'm just like eating her ass up. And the other people, like you're being around the conversation and you don't want to laugh or say nothing, but you like look at your phone like going. That's what it felt like. Yo, I'm talking about I started eating her ass up. She just started talking Biden, Trump, and we were better off. Then when I asked, I said, let me ask a question. I said, unemployment lower under Biden or Trump? I know what you're gonna say. I said, can you answer the question? Is it Trump or Biden? Is it Biden or Trump? Which is it? I said, I'll help you out. December 2019, it was 5.3%. It was 5.3% under Trump, with 4.7% under Biden. She goes, well, that's less than 1 point. She sat here, so I finally got tired of the ass. So I gotta go catch my flight. Now y'all know me, I'm petty. So as I'm walking away, I say, hey, by the way, let me know when you take that Google class, because your ass ain't got no facts. I said, and the next time you run up against a professional, don't come here running your mouth with no facts. Now, I don't know who the hell she was. I ain't even look at her name tag. I think they had like either blue or black with some gold, yellow trim. I don't even know. So it was either Spirit or it was Frontier. All I know is she said her ass from Detroit. Then she talked about, I think she said her sister was Bonita Miller or something, I don't know. She worked for the federal government. I said, oh, by the way, are you aware that Project 2025 is gonna demand that federal workers pledge an oath to MAGA? I said, so you might wanna go tell your sister. Her ass didn't know what the hell she talking. See, this is what pisses me off, Kelly. Fools like that got no facts, no details, no nothing. I literally asked her, Kelly, 5 times, name me one policy where you said Biden is awful. He just awful. He just awful. That's all her ignorant ass had.
I mean, that was funny. I want to be clear, that was really funny, and deliciously petty. But you can also say the same thing for the left. Like, I don't know a whole lot of people on the left who can name one policy. If you just go out on the street and, they say that they're a Democrat, they follow just like she follows. I think the bottom line issue is that nobody is truly informed on any issue. They are just going with the flow. That's why we have this whole push for Biden to step down, because everybody's like, oh my God, he's too old. And then you just keep hearing that. And now you got common folks saying, oh, he's too old, not knowing what he has done in his old age as president of the United States. Meanwhile, on the other end, you have dumbasses like this flight attendant who has no facts, saying that, oh, Trump did this, Trump did that. And it's like, it's opposite sides of the same coin, and the coin is ignorance, right? And that's what the frustrating thing is about, because Democrats really do have the tools to educate in layman's terms what policies are and the like, and they just aren't doing that. And this is what you have, just a chasm of ignorance on both sides of the aisle. I will say an anecdote from yesterday. I was at Clyde's down in Chinatown, and I saw 2 MAGA people in their red hats, just as bold as ever. And I was at a happy hour that had nothing but Black people in it. And I don't know who tipped who off, but as they were watching the RNC, somebody started playing Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar, and it was great. It was great.
Well, see,
I don't have anything outside of that. I just wanted to put that out there. Whoever at Clyde's put that on the speakers for the entire restaurant, God bless you. Your reward is coming.
Here's where I would slightly disagree, Matt. I've heard from a lot of people who are progressive Democrats, and if you have a conversation about the issues, what matters to them, they can actually articulate it. This woman just kept bringing up stuff, and I would literally go, and she would just, just throw out stuff, and I would go, wait a minute, can you name me one policy, one thing that you said is bad for the country? She couldn't name one. Her whole deal is he ain't walking my dog. He just awful. And she's touting Trump. And then she brings up Ukraine. Then I said, you do know 80%, that money, I said, do you know 80% of the money actually is still here? Had no idea. She was just throwing up stuff. Man, it was just so nonsensical. And I'm telling you, that dude, it was Mark. She sounded just like that fool Mark, who I debated on the show, who could not articulate anything. I know some black conservatives who I can talk to, they can talk about policy. This fool was just, and you should be ashamed of yourself because you're giving misinformation to our people. I was like, girl, if you don't sit your country ass down.
Well, Roland, I'm really sorry that you had this experience with Michael's cousin, with her being from Detroit. But
hey, don't put that on me.
She said the east side of Detroit. I was like, whatever.
Don't put that on me.
In any event,
she did say she's from Detroit, Michael. It's factual.
She may be from Detroit, but no, she's not related to me.
Go ahead, Matt.
I want to say shout out to the user Smooth Approach, who said you dealt with an auntie ruckus, which took me smooth out. Thank you, brother. That's hilarious. But in any event, look, I think the only thing I really want to add to this is interesting. We're having this conversation. I had lunch today with a group of lawyers, right? And a friend of mine, his sister is very well educated, and he said his sister will watch stuff on TikTok and believe it is the gospel truth and then regurgitate it as though it's 100% real, right? And he was talking about how he was baffled that his sister, an educated woman, could so easily see something that's just demonstrably false and run with it as though it is the gospel truth. So a lot of this, there are a lot of different phenomena here, but the few things I want to point out is, first, a lot of the people who are ardent Trump supporters that are black are really more proud of the fact that they are breaking away from what they believe to be the monolith of black politics than they really are anything about the policy, right? That's usually what they tout, is that they're a free thinker, they think on their own, they're not on the plantation like everybody else, but they don't know anything about the deep policy, because if you did, you would know he has no deep policy. Thus, a name like strength for a policy with no other policy tenets, number one. So I think that is a phenomenon not only with black conservatives who are behind Trump, but you see the same thing with Hispanic conservatives who want to tell you proudly that they're with Trump and they're breaking away and they're not on the Democratic plantation, but they usually don't have any deep policy. But the second thing is misinformation. And that's a lot of the problem here, is especially with Trump, no matter how many times he lies, we're in an era where there is so much information out there, so much of it that is wrong, that people don't know how to discern a lot of times between what is truthful and what is not truthful. And they end up just, making decisions based on pageantry and personality. And that's really what we're dealing with. We keep saying Republicans, but this is not the Republican Party. This is the party of Donald Trump. And the people who are behind Donald Trump are behind the personality of Donald Trump. And nothing you can do will disavow them of that support. So it doesn't surprise me that you interacted with her. And I hear that kind of thing every day. I'm in Texas, so you can imagine how often I hear that from poor white people, too. I'm like, this dude's policy is all against you. How you could be in support of him makes no sense. But that's because people are not looking at the policy. They're looking at the personality.
Well, it sort of reminds me, Michael, of these videos we see when these folks go to these Trump rallies and they go, now you know Biden not president. Now you know Trump's still president, but Biden, he ain't the president. And you're like, I'm sorry, but didn't you just blame Biden for what's going on in the country? I mean, that's literally what it sounded like. And I was sitting here and I was like, am I being punked? Like, is this black female? Hold up, this is the one that really got me, Michael, Matt, and Kelly. Now, this heifer lying. I mean, just making shit up. I go, will you stop lying? You shouldn't call a woman a liar. I said, tell a woman stop lying. She actually tried to use the woman card. You shouldn't call a woman a liar. I said, stop lying. Then I won't call your ass a liar. She tried that with Michael.
Yeah, you know, Roland, a few things here. Number one, the African-American community and the Latino community are two communities that are heavily targeted with misinformation and disinformation. There was just an article from NBCnews.com in the past 2 months that talked about that. So this is a result of that. Number two, when we deal with a lot of these black MAGA supporters, they're dumber than the white MAGA supporters, okay? And they operate in the alternative universe. They usually know very little about history, okay? They usually know very little about politics. And, you know, I was on the Tammy Mack Late Show a couple years ago on the Fox O TV network with two black conservatives who who don't understand history. One was younger, one was older. And these are the type of things that you deal with. When you talked about Ukraine, and one of the problems is because civics has been taken out of school, people don't understand how the economy works. Yes, you know, the aid to Ukraine creates a lot of jobs here because they're military contractors, one federal contractor for the military in each congressional district, and that provides jobs, and they're sending the equipment and weapons to Ukraine largely, as opposed to sending Ukraine a check for $95 billion. Okay, so people can just Google that. There are articles like from the Associated Press on this. And this is one of the things that I hear from people who are African-American who say they want reparations, but they can't tell you how to get reparations, don't understand law, and then they say, oh, they're giving $95 billion to Ukraine, and don't even understand the inner workings of that. So this is one of the reasons why this show is so important, because there's so much misinformation out here. And this is not the time to be ignorant. This is not the time to be stupid, okay? Because when you look at even people who play dumb on the other side, like J.D. Vance, they come from Ivy League schools. They have law degrees, okay? They know better. They're playing the part of somebody who's stupid to con other people, but they know better. So we have to do better.
Well, one thing I'm happy about, I ain't never flown Frontier. I ain't never flown Spirit. So it's a good bet. I ain't gonna never run her Indian ass ever on a flight. But I can guarantee you, if I ever run into her, I'm gonna say, wear your red MAGA hat. Because I will be petty. I will be petty. And so I ain't get a name. She claimed I spread misinformation. She might be watching. If your dumb ass watching, I bet you learn your lesson rolling up on me trying to ask my ass some questions early in the morning. Take that crap dealing with somebody else who ain't used to it. But you got your ass schooled this morning in the airport, and everybody around us was laughing at how stupid you are. Going to a break, we come back. I gotta answer this question for our panel. Why in the hell isn't Obama supporting Joe Biden and or Kamala Harris? I'm gonna deal with that next.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr, we welcome the Black Star Network's very own Roland Martin, who joins us to talk about his new book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. The book explains so much about what we're going through in this country right now, and how, as white people head toward becoming a racial minority, it's going to get, well, let's just say even more interesting.
We are going to see more violence. We're going to see more vitriol because as each day passes, it is a nail in that coffin.
The one and only Roland Martin on the next Black Table, right here on the Black Star Network.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Latasha from the A.
And you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
So there's been a whole lot of back and forth over who's really behind this push to get Biden out. And remember, this thing really took off when former Biden folks, David Axelrod, who ran his campaign, and these podcasters, John Favreau, Tommy Vietor, and I forgot the other dude's name. And many people said these folks would not have come out so hard against Biden had Obama not given his nod. Then when that New York Times column from George Clooney came out, it was reported that Clooney called Obama before it got published, and Obama didn't tell him not to publish it. Well, the Washington Post dropped this story, go to my iPad, yesterday. Obama tells allies Biden's path to winning re-election has greatly diminished. And so it lays out here in terms of what Biden has said. And it said Obama has spoken with Biden only once since the debate. And he has been clear in his conversations with others that the future of Biden's candidacy is a decision for the president to make. So you start going through this article, and I've been calling different people and talking to them, and they've been talking about this very thing. And remember, people forget, Obama pushed Biden out of the race in 2016. Obama was not supportive of Biden running. Obama made the decision that Hillary Clinton should be the Democratic nominee. Now, imagine if Biden had run in 2016. This could very well be the end of his second term. And so now you have this internal battle, and folks are asking the questions. Why hasn't President Obama gone to Joe Biden to have that face-to-face conversation? And does Obama believe that Biden should step aside? And if so, why is he not supportive of Vice President Kamala Harris? The different people have been hitting me up, Michael, Matt, and Kelly, that Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer are leading the effort to get Biden out, but also not support Vice President Kamala Harris and touting this open convention. Should President Obama be more vocal? Your assessment of all of this. Michael, I'm gonna start with you.
Yeah, I think he should be more vocal. And I think, I've heard about this article earlier today, and I've heard about rumblings in the back end. Obama saying that Biden's chances are dwindling, et cetera. Now, I'm careful of going by unnamed sources because I keep hearing a whole lot of unnamed sources, not just in this incident, but other incidences. There's a whole lot of unnamed sources saying this person said this person said that. But if he thinks that Biden has a shot, I think Obama should come out publicly and say, hey, back off. Like he tweeted right after Biden had the bad debate performance, he tweeted, hey, I had a bad debate performance also. It happens, right? He did that. So if he supports Biden, I think he should come out publicly and say that. But if he doesn't support him, then my question would be, okay, who do you support then for president, and who do you support for vice president? So this is this is a little complicated here, okay? But I think he should come out and put it on the record like he did with the tweet, okay, or X, whatever it was, the social media post.
I posted something last week, Kelly, that I still stand by. And I said, President Barack Obama needs to come out, publicly stand by Joe Biden and say it. The man said he's not leaving the race. He's in it. Democrats, shut up, focus on Donald Trump, and let's run this damn campaign. See, but all of this shadowy, he's told allies and he gave a nod, and when he didn't say, don't publish that. I mean, come on. That just is drawing this whole thing out. Get off the damn pot, Kelly.
I get what you're saying, but if I recall correctly, I feel like they use Obama kind of like the big joker type of thing in Democratic politics. And by that, I mean, if I recall correctly, during the 2020 election when Biden was running, they didn't really roll out Obama in campaign strategy until like the last couple weeks, months.
But that was
right?
But that was also his choice.
True, but I think maybe they're trying to mimic that game plan again, and that's what's happening here. I don't want it. I don't like the whole. And like what Michael said, I am a little conflicted about what my opinion is of this, because if he doesn't truly support him, he should say that. If he does, he should say that. I think that the headline of his chances of winning being diminished wasn't Obama discouraging or being pessimistic. If anything, Obama is very honest when it comes to his assessment of anything. And I think that his analysis of the situation may have been misinterpreted. I think that might be what's happening here. I don't think there's a whole lot of hoopla of Obama actually discouraging Biden to run. But I don't know. I'm not in those circles.
This is, to me, Matt, this is a moment. Again, the debate was June 27th. It was 22 days ago. This is a moment where if you are deemed to be a party elder, if you're deemed to be a leader, this is when you lead. This is when you make the difficult choices. And to me, this passive aggressiveness needs to go out of the window. Damn it, people are looking for somebody to say, yo, what are we doing? And here's the deal. Biden came up with a statement today saying, I'm running. I'm going to see y'all next week. And they keep making a call, get out, get out, get out, and he's digging in. So, and in fact, Greg Sargent posted a tweet I thought was interesting. Because again, you talk about this. So he was talking to a senior Biden official, and this is what he was told. He said the single biggest thing helping keep Biden in the race right now is the open convention WrestleMania crowd. Lots of people don't want chaos, but even more would be enraged, rightly in my opinion, at bypassing Vice President Harris too. If it means potentially removing her too, they're understandably against the whole move. And those people, including but not limited to a lot of black women, are Biden's last and biggest crutch. The biggest purpose of the VP is to step in if POTUS's health fails in some way and he can't continue. And that's where we are. If this is just about people angling for their pet dream candidate, then they're part of the problem, not the solution. This is where, for me, Matt, Obama should be stepping up more aggressively than he is doing now.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll go there with you. I mean, I get that from a strategic standpoint, from the idea that you talked about with him being a party leader. But first, I don't know that we should be putting more on Mr. Obama than we are Bill Clinton or Jimmy Carter or any other former Democratic president. And I know you're going to say that Obama is a current leader and he maybe has more gravitas than other people, but we're not having this conversation about Bill Clinton or anybody else. Beyond that, I think that what should happen is kind of to the earlier points we've made. The Democrats in general need to galvanize their support behind a single candidate and go forward. And it needs to be Joe Biden at this point because there's no more time. However, if Mr. Obama doesn't believe he's the right person to serve or has questions about his fitness, I think he has every right to not come out and say anything about it, with the caveat that I think if you are really aligned with the party, you have a duty to not hurt his chances. And I also think that's the counterpoint here, possibly. It could be that Mr. Obama is staying in the background because there's a concern that if he comes out and supports Joe Biden, that's somehow going to affect the race. I don't imagine there's a thought that that's really going to sway anything in the polls, but there could be a strategic reason he has not done that. I don't know. But I do know that I don't know enough information about why he's not supporting him. It could very well be that he doesn't think he's fit. It could also be that there's some other candidate that he wants to support. It could also be that he does not want to get in the way. And I don't really have enough information to draw any conclusion from those. But I would say that the party as a whole is disadvantaging itself mightily by being in the lurch. At this point, they need to lock and load and go forward. And until that happens, it doesn't matter who comes out and supports him or doesn't support him. The needle won't be moved, and there will not be a concerted effort to make sure Donald Trump does not become the next president of the United States.
Oh, well, absolutely. But again, look, frankly, this has gone on long enough. We're now 22 days since the debate. And they're not focusing on Trump. You're not seeing Democrats release statements about what J.D. Vance said this week or Trump's awful speech last night. They're not calling out the racist speaking, the wife beater speaking, none of that. It's all about Biden and what he's not doing. And here's the deal. He's still president. He's still doing the job. But they're still stuck on, I don't know, man, he slowed down. And you got Seth Moulton posted a thing, you know what? I saw him at the NATO thing and he didn't recognize me. And so all this sort of stuff, and you're like, dude, really? I mean, we literally have a nutcase, an absolute nutcase, who was talking about Hannibal Lecter in his acceptance speech. And Democrats are not discussing that. They still are locked in. Obama, step up. Do more. This needs to end. We should not, on Monday, we should not be going into the fourth week of this nonsense with Democrats still focused on Joe Biden's fitness and not the fascists on the other side. Kelly, Matt, Michael, I appreciate y'all being on today's show. Thank you so very much. Enjoyed it. Folks, y'all have a great weekend. I'm going to be with my man, Wendell Haskins. His Original T Golf Classic is on Sunday, so looking forward to being with him. But I'll see you guys on Monday right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Don't forget, support our work. Join our Brina Funk fan club. See your check and money order. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And download the Black Star Network app. Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. And be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Available at bookstores nationwide. Folks, I'll see y'all on Monday. Holla!